Should we go for quarter 2?
Oh, fuck, I actually got rid of world clock. Hang on.
We'll just go for bang on 41 then.
It's gonna. I got time.
Just going to warm the hands up. Oh, crisp, mate. Crisp.
Kapow!
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to the 38th edition of the GOATS podcast. I'm your host for this evening, and you may call me Vinny. Now, my two usual friends with me, who you may also call Mork and Sebek. How are the two of you doing?
Fucking belter, mate. I'm a little bit ill today.
Lovely.
Took the day off, but I've kind of slapped it off. I'm feeling a lot better.
Nice.
Excuses.
Love to hear it.
Yeah.
Back stronger.
Back stronger.
Back stronger.
Yourself, Mork?
Very good. Yeah, me and the missus stayed away for our first ever night without the little toe rags running around. In a very fancy hotel that you two absolutely slated me for because I nearly laughed and said, "Are you fucking joking?" when the woman at the front desk asked me if I wanted newspapers delivered to my room for the morning.
And also, you got in a huff when it turned out they weren't streaming the United match.
Yeah, I was like sat in the bar. I've just had a ludicrously expensive pint. It's £30 for a glass of wine. There's not even the fucking footy on. What's going on?
But also, to be fair,
ridiculous.
it's probably better you didn't watch the Liverpool match because it might have put your day down. But
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
Look, we went out for dinner just as like the second half was getting underway, and they put one in. So I was like, "I'll bun this. Let's go for some food."
poor
As
Jen's
I
all,
mentioned-
Getaway.
Jen's all dressed up. She's been waiting for 45 minutes.
You're in your full kit. Shin pads and all on the bed.
Even got my boots on.
You're warming up. You're like opening the gate, like really stretching,
Yeah.
like waiting to get on the pitch. And then you're like, "Oh fuck this! They've got to go down. Oh, fuck it,
Fuck it, let's go.
fuck it, let's go." Oh, I'd love to see that. Jen all dressed up and you're in your full kit out at a nice restaurant, shouting because they're
Hang
not
on.
showing the game,
I haven't even got a full kit.
and then getting confused about how to deal with a lobster. Like, oh fucking, be great, mate. I'd love to see it.
It's not gonna
Be a
happen.
good
I haven't even
sitcom.
got a full kit.
Should I get into them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go.
Right. Well, sports have been around for probably as long as humans have been around. In fact, experts believe, or at least the first line of Wikipedia reads, that our hunger for pitting people against each other for the fun of it dates back as far as 70,000 BCE, which is pretty shocking. I don't even know how they know that, to be honest, because I think cave paintings
Yeah.
aren't that old. But apparently, according to the first line of Wikipedia, that's the research that goes on here. The earliest known sports included wrestling, sprinting, and swimming. But as technology got better over time and as people stopped needing to expend their day's energy just for survival, more and more ludicrous sports started popping up, such as the traditional Central Asian sport of buzkashi, or goat pulling, which is still played and is very popular today in Afghanistan, despite the banning of it by the Taliban 20 years ago.
Read about
Or-
that, yeah.
The ancient Chinese sport of kuju, or kickball, which I'm sure never really caught on. But nowadays, there are hundreds of these niche sports throughout the world. And today, I'd like to know which one is the greatest of these ridiculous sports. And I think
I want to go
I'm
first.
gonna...
No, I'm going first.
No, it's really important that I go first. I want to go first.
Why?
I just want to.
Do you have an essay lined up for why you want to go first, and then I can pick the winner
Um,
who goes first?
There's just an element of comedy value gained by me going first.
Right, fine, fuck it.
Okay.
You can go first then.
Sebek, you go first.
Okay, so what makes a sport ridiculous? That's the question I posed to myself when I started researching this. Is it about how silly it is? Is it about how outrageous and zany it is? Is it about being like a sort of an edgelord, a bit of a mid-2000s sort of, oh, look at me? But Because if it was, I'd probably pick something really lame, like sort of planking or cheese rolling or like extreme ironing. But like, that's not ridiculous. That's just sort of, it's just like attention seeking. Do you know what I mean? Like if I picked that, I'd be so embarrassed of myself. And then I was like, God, can you imagine like how unattractive my partner would be? And like, God, imagine if I had a kid and I had to go home and be like, yeah, I thought that just doing a bit of ironing on something a bit edgy was like cool. Like I actually thought that was cool. And I made myself feel a bit sick. So I stopped thinking about it for a few days and I kind of got over it. And I thought, no, what makes a sport really ridiculous is taking something that's already quite dangerous and just making it way more dangerous for no real reason. And so once I decided that a really ridiculous sport had to be ridiculously dangerous, I started thinking about what's the most dangerous thing a human being can do?
Die.
Exactly.
It's pretty dangerous.
So
That's not dangerous.
extreme suicide. No. So
Yes, it is.
Well, no, because you're all.
Oh, wowie.
my first thought was water. As a being, as a sort of an animal, we're not designed to go in the water. We're just about waterproof. Most of us can swim. Sorry, Michael. But like it's not our forte, and we can't hold our breath. We definitely can't go underwater. Like going underwater, we are totally out of our depth. Pun fully intended. But then I thought,
Nice.
and I started looking into cave diving and free diving, and I thought they are pretty fucking stupid. But I don't know if they're the most stupid. Like at the end of the day, we can learn to swim. Most of us can. And we can learn to hold our breath for a really long time.
A lot of shade being thrown here.
Yeah, this is bullshit. What have I
But what,
Seb,
but
have I,
what
like-
we can't do,
kicked your cat or something?
but what we can't do and what we've never been able to do, no matter how hard we try, is fly. We can't fly. We cannot survive in the air. Okay? So I realised that the most dangerous sport, the most ridiculous sport, had to be airborne in some way. And so you're probably thinking, I went for skydiving. And I agree, jumping out of a plane is inherently ridiculous. We're not designed to fly. We're not designed to fly. We're not designed to bounce. So the act of free falling is ridiculous no matter which way you look at it. We are totally out of place. There is no more ridiculous.
Awesome.
We're a land-based mammal in the air.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, you can jump.
Yeah, but you can't free fall. Jumping from
Yeah,
like
but-
15,000 feet and just tanking through. There's nothing more stupid than just watching a shaved ape, which is what we are, just rolling around whilst tanking towards the ground
No.
at 75 miles an hour, and then hoping that if you pull a little bit of cord, a giant plastic bag will stop you hitting the ground so hard you fucking die.
Yeah, but it does. When I went skydiving, I wasn't falling around. I was doing Superman.
Look, it's stupid. We don't belong in the
I
sky.
loved it. I thought it was probably the greatest thing I've ever done skydiving. I would have just gone like I would have been like a kid on like a helter skelter. I would have just gone round and round and round and round and round.
Well, that's
It was the
because
best thing ever.
that's because skydiving isn't the most ridiculous sport. It's very
right.
dangerous and it's not where we belong, but it's not the most ridiculous. Because the only way to make falling from something more dangerous is to take away the aeroplane and just jump off shit. In other words, base jumping. Now, base jumping stands for buildings, antennae, spans, which basically means bridges, and earth or cliffs. I think they basically chose those letters because they said the word base, which sounds cool. If it was like buildings, antennae, bridges, and cliffs, it'd be like jumping, which wouldn't be as cool. So they picked those.
I never knew it was an acronym. I always thought it was like because you just jump from like on top of your base.
Well,
or
I
your
think
station or something. I don't know.
no, I get it though because it's like you're jumping
I kind of
from
get what you mean.
a
Yeah.
base, like it makes sense. But I think that's
Yeah.
probably why they picked it that way. Is because
Yeah,
it
okay.
sounds cool. But if you don't know what base jumping is, it's land based skydiving. It's jumping off something which is grounded, which is attached to the ground in some way, and falling pulling a parachute and trying not to die. Now, I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why this is more ridiculous than skydiving, which I already believe is ridiculous. When you jump out of a plane, there's not much to crash into. There's the plane, and that disappears quite quickly. That's gone. And then there's maybe some other people, but there's a lot of space. You know, you've got a lot of room that's just yours. With base jumping, by default, you're never going to be a few meters further. You're never going to be more than a few meters from the thing you jumped off of, which makes the likelihood of hitting it astronomically higher. Unless you jump off a bridge. And I know what you're thinking. I'll just jump off a bridge then. Well, that brings me on to the next point. The other reason that base jumping is so much more dangerous is the ground is a lot fucking closer. All right? A lot closer. And what that means is you don't have much time to think about it if shit hits the fan. Okay? When you jump out of a plane, Michael, how long were you free falling for?
About a minute or something like that. Something pretty small, yeah.
About a minute. So if something went wrong, you've got a minute, maybe a bit longer. You know, you pull your cord after.
Oh, you got heaps longer.
But you could probably do 2 or 3 minutes before you hit the ground.
Oh, easy.
Maybe even longer than that. That gives you a lot of time to work out what's gone wrong. Say your main chute goes, and you've got to work out: do I pull the cord? Do I release myself? Pull my second chute? Can I untangle myself? You've got ages. With a base jump, you've got a couple of seconds max. You know, the average base jump, you do about 3 or 4 seconds of free fall before you pull your chute. Even if you didn't pull it to the very last minute, you might be in the air for 15 seconds. It's not very long to work out what you're going to do before you go splat. So I get what you're saying. Well, that's pretty dangerous. I don't have very long to work out if I'm going to pull my reserve chute. You're fucking what? Oh, my reserve chute. No, you don't have one. Why? I Googled it because it's completely pointless. Base jumpers don't have a second chute because there isn't time to deploy it before they hit the ground. That's insane. That is ridiculous. That's so stupid. You're jumping off something that's so low, there is no room for error, right? Now, that is in itself ridiculous. And I think the very idea that you only have 3 seconds to sort a problem out before you hit the ground is fucking stupid. But let me just make my point. Let me spell it out. The average deaths per base jump is 1 in every 2,000 jumps.
Ooh.
1 in every 2,000. To put that into perspective, the average deaths per parachute jump is 1 in every 33,000. It's astronomically more dangerous than skydiving. On average, 1 in 60 people who base jump regularly dies every year. 1 in 60.
Yeah, that's pretty big. I reckon that's quite on par with cave diving that you mentioned earlier, because that's
Really dangerous.
widely regarded as like one of all the most like easily to die sports in the world. Yeah, it's ridiculously dangerous. Yeah.
But this is my final
1 in
statistic,
60.
which I just think is insane, right? So since 1981, so to be called a base jumper, there's like a base jumpers association, and they'll issue you with a number, which is like base 1, base 2. So the first guy was base 1. They're up to like base 2,000, and that's 2,000 people who've done one of every kind of jump. So they've jumped off a cliff, they've jumped off a bridge, they've jumped off a building, and they've jumped off an antenna. They've done all 4. And then you get your base number, right? There has been 2,000 base numbers given since 1981 when the base jumping scene sort of took off. Since 1981, 439 people have died base jumping. So almost a quarter of registered base jumpers have died since the sport began. That's insane, right? The guy who invented the term base jumping, a guy called Carol Bonish, died 6 years afterwards while base jumping.
Was it from the base jumping, or was it like he had a heart attack before he?
No, he hit the ground very hard. He jumped off a cliff and hit the ground. The man with the highest altitude base jump, so he jumped from the highest altitude. His name is Valery Rosov. He successfully base jumped from an altitude of 7,700 meters in 2013. He base jumped 1,000 feet and then pulled his chute, right? He died 3 years later trying to recreate that stunt. Okay? So I think I've proved my point about being ridiculously dangerous, right? I've proved my point about it being a ridiculously dangerous sport. It's a ridiculous sport. But it's also ridiculous in another way.
Okay.
It's ridiculously cool. Base jumping is cool. There's no other way to look at it. It's been in James Bond films. Cool. Bit rapey, but cool. It's been in Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider 2 specifically. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's also been in original Top Gear with Jeremy Clarkson. Very cool.
Top Gear season 1 or just the
No,
original?
those original
the
seasons.
three hosts, yeah.
Yeah. And just to really prove this point, I want you to imagine something here. You're in the Alps, the French Alps, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
You're at a ski bar. You know, one of those bars at the bottom of the slopes. Me and you, Vinny, we've seen them together on the school ski trips. You're hanging out. There's a lot of very good-looking guys and girls skiing around, hair down, tanned. It's pretty hot, right? They've got their skis. It's the end of the day, right? You're in the bar. You're looking around, seeing what's what. Then a guy walks through the door, or a girl, depending what you're into. They're wearing a fucking parachute. And they say, "Sup, guys? Sorry, I had to take the quick way down from the summit. Didn't want to miss happy hour." You calm your pants. There's no other way of saying it. Right? You pull a Michael, okay? And that is just hot. It's ridiculously hot. So in conclusion, the most ridiculous sport is base jumping. Because it's ridiculously illogical. It doesn't make sense. We're land-based mammals. What are we doing in the air? We're not bats. We can't fly. Give up. Doesn't happen, right? It's ridiculously dangerous. 1 in 60 base jumpers will die a year. And it's ridiculously hot. And ridiculously cool. That is the most ridiculous sport. It's ridiculous in every single facet.
How does that 1 in 60 work out? If it's 1 in 60 a year, but what did you say? Like 1 in 2,000?
1 in 2,000 jumps end in death, but base jumpers do a lot more than one jump a year. So 1 in every 60 active base jumpers dies every year.
Oh, okay.
In fact, there's a really famous thing where this guy who ran, I think it might have been the base jumping subreddit, the sort of mod of the base jumping subreddit died year upon year for like 5 years in a row. So like the guy who ran the base jumping subreddit died, and then the guy who took over from him died, and then the guy who took over from him died, and so on and so forth. Wow. It's really fucking dangerous.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's ridiculously cool.
It's ridiculously cool.
It can't be ridiculously cool.
I did just Google it, and it is the most dangerous sport in the world.
Yeah.
That we know of.
What do you mean it's not ridiculously cool? It is cool. That's cool.
Well, I'm not very good at words, so I got the Cambridge Dictionary definition of ridiculous here, and I think cool and ridiculous juxtapose each other and can't be used next to each other, because the definition for ridiculous is stupid or unreasonable and deserving to be laughed at.
Yeah, it's laughably cool.
What? Who's this nerd we got with us?
Yeah, right.
That
Also,
is, according to me, you can't be ridiculously cool, because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Right, so if something was very cool, would you not say that's ludicrously cool? That's insanely cool.
That's crazy cool.
That's crazy, man.
Because
If
I would be not using English proper in it, I would say, that's really cool.
That's ridiculous.
I've heard you say so many times, that's insanely cool.
I think, Seb,
that's ridiculous.
I don't want to trash your presentation, but I know what angle you're getting at. You trashed my potential ideas of cheese wheeling, etc., as not being, as being not ridiculous sports because they're just stupid. But actually, I think that you're the one clutching at straws maybe here, trying to prove that something that is undoubtedly the most dangerous sport in the world. But is it the most ridiculous sport in the world?
Well, it's ridiculous because 1 in 60 die. That's
dangerous.
That's
stupid. But is that deserving to be laughed at, ridiculous, or like you said, it's really fucking cool?
It's ridiculously cool. It's ridiculously cool.
Well, that's for Vinny to decide.
It's ridiculously dangerous and ridiculously cool.
It can't be ridiculously cool. I had to bang my table just soft enough to not knock my phone over, but just hard enough to get it to shake.
And you did it great. You did a great job.
That was perfect.
Yeah, boy.
Look, that's the end of my presentation. Take it for what you will. You can get caught up on the grammar and the words. Very unlike you, Michael, but it's a nice change. But that's ridiculously uncool, and this is ridiculously cool.
I actually knew. Well, I'm relatives. Well, my sister. Sorry, my sister did base jumping once.
Did she?
What?
Well, not really, but this is a funny story anyway.
I love when a good story starts with something that's not true. These are my favourite kind of stories.
I can't remember what it's called, but basically there was just outside the school that we all went to in Exeter. There was kind of like this shed where I think they had like all the electrical things in there for like the school or something like that. And my sister and her friend were on top of it. This was back when they were like, I think 14. They were teenagers, and my sister jumped off from it and was like, "Wow, that was sick!" And then she urged her friend to do it, and her friend was a bit hesitant. But then my sister made her do it, and then she did it, and she, I think she like broke her ankle. But like my sister wasn't having any of it and made her like walk home the entire way without any help.
Mate, that's insane.
Yeah, because she was like, "Fuck this! If she's really hurt, I'm gonna get in trouble." Whereas if she walks home, she was obviously fine.
I think she just didn't realize she'd like actually really badly hurt herself. And she was like, "Go on, mate, you're just fucking being a nerd about it."
Well, I mean, that is you've hit the sort of peak base jumping mentality there, which is just fucking get on with it. Ridiculously cool. I did read a story which I just thought was so funny, but it's obviously funny because there's 100 years have gone past. But the first guy who kind of they credit as sort of having a bit of an idea of base jumping, like the first parachutes were kind of designed to be jumped off cliffs, but the first guy who was like, I'm going to jump off something really big just for the fucking hell of it, was this French guy, and he was like, I've designed like a half parachute, half coat that I can like. Oh my
god, I know this guy.
Flying fox. And everyone at the bottom thought he was going to use a dummy. And then he just jumped off with the coat and just splat on the floor.
There's video footage of this, yeah.
And like even the police were like, "Oh fucking hell!"
Yeah, everyone was just like, "Oh, he actually he did just test his own invention on himself first time, and he died. Well, that doesn't work."
Like I love the idea that he's like, "Well, what else am I gonna do?" And it's like, use a dummy. Just use a dummy.
Like chuck something off, like a rock or something. Don't just jump, die.
That's just ridiculously cool. I don't know about you guys.
It's cool,
man. Yeah, good stuff, mate. I'm not going to say what I think about it just yet. I'll leave that to the end until I've heard.
We're vibing. I can feel the vibe. We don't need to say it out loud.
And I reckon we go on to the middle bit. Middle bit. Woo. Champagne, fireworks, everything's going nuts.
So much champagne. Oh my god, I'm just spraying myself in champagne.
So much champagne. I love the taste of it.
Anyway.
So I've done this. So we've got a game, as always, and I've done this game, like, I think this is the third time I've done this game, but I don't care. I always think it's fun to do this type of game. So I've got a bunch of miscellaneous sports, which were dubbed by some article the 25 dumbest sports ever created. So I think that
nice
is relevant here. And I've got a bunch of them and where they were invented. And I want you guys to do your thing, to try and guess, and whoever's closest.
Okay, so we're doing like where in the world kind of thing.
Where in the world for ridiculous sports, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, okay, so Sebek, you went first, so I'll give the first one to Mork. So Mork, you will be the first one to answer.
Yep.
So, by the way, these are all like translated into English, so don't be like, oh, this is an English word, so it must be, England or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
I'm with you.
So, bog snorkeling. Who invented bog snorkeling? What nation was that? Mork.
The UK. Wales, to be exact.
Okay. Sebek?
I was going to say Wales, so I'm just going to say England because I know it's Wales, but it might be England.
Okay, yeah, it was Wales.
Yes. So, what are you wearing on your head?
I just got a bat. Just thought it was a bit zany. I thought the sort of person who does this would be the sort of person who thought extreme ironing was cool.
We're not doing coolest sports, Seb. We're doing ridiculous sport.
Just sort of like edgy, a bit neat.
Deserving.
Like, oh, look at me.
Ridiculous, stupid, or unreasonable and deserving to be laughed at. To be a ridiculous sport, you'd have to laugh at these people, but you think they're so cool.
No, I think it's funny they all die.
It's not cool sport, Seb. God damn it. Anyway, Vinny, next question.
Anyway, Seb, you to answer first.
Yes.
Crab racing.
Now, here's the thing. We've all raced a crab. Not personally, we pitted two crabs against each other.
Have we?
Yeah, at the beach, you go crabbing, you pick them up, then you race them to run back to the water. You never done that?
No.
Nope.
You've never done a crab race?
I've never had a crab race.
You do crabbing, you put the crab in line in, you pull the crabs up, and then you race. Well, news to me.
This is like an official sport that like I think there's like competitions held and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
so not
well,
just yeah.
The trouble is because you want to game theory it. In my head, I'm like, that seems like quite a British thing to do. But then we don't have a lot of crabs. Excuse me. We don't have a lot of crabs. Well, we do have a lot of crabs, actually. That's bullshit. But then I'm like, game theory, like, would Vinny pick the same place twice? It's probably not going to be in the UK again. Where do they have a lot of crustaceans? I'm going to say Australia. It's quite a British thing to think is funny. But obviously, I don't think it's in Britain because you picked Britain last time. So I'm going to go for somewhere that has a semi-British culture but isn't Britain. Australia.
Okay. Mork?
I don't know if I can pronounce it correctly, but is it Suriname? Is that the how you say it?
Suriname. Where'd you get that from? That is a country, yeah?
That's where I think it's from, crab racing.
Oh, shit. Suriname is South America, right? Yes, it is. I spotted it. It was actually invented in Tobago, of Trinidad and Tobago.
Okie dokie, fair play.
But Suriname is vastly closer than Australia,
Yeah.
so
Damn.
goes to Mork again.
See, I've been researching ridiculous sports all day, and I'd heard the crab racing one, and I thought it was Suriname, so I was like, I bet it's that.
Okay.
Maybe my list got it wrong. But
So,
I probably misremember.
Sebek.
Yes.
Wife
No, Mork.
carrying.
More.
Wife
Isn't it, Sebek?
Oh, no, it's
No,
more.
no.
It's more.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Sorry, yeah.
Wife
Mork.
carrying.
Wife carrying.
US? US of A.
Okay, that's your answer.
Seb, stop Googling it.
I'm not Googling it. Sorry.
Is that like...
No, sorry. I just got...
I've seen
Violently
it.
Googling.
I used to be a adjudicator. I've seen kids cheat on their tests.
I'm not Googling. I'm not doing a pocket Google. What did you say, UK?
I said US.
You said US.
So the thing is about wife carrying, it's obviously from a country where misogyny is quite funny. I'm gonna go, where the traditional gender roles are considered to be still a bit zany. Like, oh yeah, I fucking just carry my wife, like wife.
Okay.
US is a great shout.
Yeah.
That fits so perfectly. If it's not the US, it's going to be Eastern Europe. I'm going to say Poland.
You're both wrong. It was Scandinavia, and it was Finland, actually.
Ooh.
I was in that neck of the woods.
But Sebek still wins because he's vastly closer.
Fair play.
It's 2-1 to Mork so far. Right, the next one. And this time it's Sebek to answer first, right?
That's me.
Yes, okay. I'm forgetting already. Chess boxing. So this is the sport of both playing chess for one round. I think you play chess for like 2 minutes, and then you box for like a minute, and then you play chess for 2 minutes.
Again.
And
Yeah.
it's whoever wins out of either of those, whoever wins first out of either of those.
Yeah, I've seen. I know of it. I've seen it. It's quite a. It's one of those images that people love to show. Like, boxing's an intelligent sport. Look at it, chess and boxing. which is an intelligent sport, but it does involve getting punched in the head. I'm going to say... Do you know what? I'm going to say England. I'm going to say the UK. I think that's the sort of thing that... It's quite a gentleman's sport, I feel.
You going with England?
Yeah, I'm going to say England.
I'm gonna go with my previous answer and go with like USA. I feel like it was.
Yeah.
I feel like it was some like university professor. I think he read a book about it in like 1999 and invented it in like 2003 or something stupid like that.
You know, almost. Have you read all of this? Have you read the same article that I've taken all these answers from?
I haven't read the same article, but I've been researching ridiculous sports. I'll have you know that base jumping, skydiving, and cave diving haven't featured on this list. However, I've been researching ridiculous sports all day, so I have heard of a few of these.
So yeah, you are right with the 2003.
Oh,
it was
yeah!
actually made in 2003. It was inspired by a graphic sci-fi novel from 1992, but it wasn't American.
Oh.
It wasn't English.
Oh.
It was Dutch.
Nice.
Dutch artist.
Those bloody Dutch, they love it, don't they? I love that Michael's argument for mine being worse is that it's not, I thought outside the box. He's like, I like it in the lines. It's not on the list.
It's just not ridiculous. You've just Gandalfed it. That's all.
I've not fucking Gandalfed it. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. You bastard. Fucking Gandalfed it. The cheek.
Okay, so is it Mork? Are you next?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
which one am I going for? I'm going to go for cricket spitting.
oh, cricket spitting. I'd heard of cricket spitting. Damn it. Where the fuck is it from? It's not... Well, I'm not going to help Seb out, actually. I'm not going to take my train of thought because it'll be able to narrow it down.
So cricket spitting, for those who don't know, is a sport in which contestants put a dead cricket in their mouth and see how far they can spit it. Too much free time, I think.
I'm going to guess...
Should have never invented writing.
I'm going to guess Somalia.
Somalia, okay.
I'm going to say when I think of crickets and doing stuff with crickets, eating crickets, spitting crickets, I think of I think of Southeast Asia. I think of somewhere like Cambodia or Laos, and I'm just going to say Cambodia.
Okay. Cambodia. Let's see if I can do some... Okay, you're both really off, so this is going to be a little tricky, but...
Where was it?
It was US of A, Indiana, state of Indiana.
Yeehaw!
Where is Indiana?
God damn cricket spitting.
Which side is it? So Indiana's there. So Ethiopia's like that. Okay. Yeah, I'd say Ethiopia is closer. So Mork gets the points.
Yes.
Well played,
Fuckers.
well played. Sebek.
Yes.
Ferret legging.
Is that where you put a ferret up your trousers?
That's where you put a ferret in your trousers, yeah.
Now, I remember seeing this in a film. And I feel like the film was set in the US of A. But, again, I'm trying to game theory here. Would Vinny say the same place twice? He might. I'm going to say the USA. I just feel like when you think of the sort of nation that would shove a ferret down their trousers and see what happens, you think of the USA, don't you? That's exactly where your mind goes.
Okay.
I am going to say that it was invented in 1970s by coal miners in Yorkshire, England! Boom, 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 boom!
It was America. No, you're right, Mork. Yeah, 1970s Yorkshire, England. We did coal miners. We read the exact same article.
No, I didn't read that article. That's just might be part of my script. It might not be. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so Mork. Better not get any more points, because Sebek, he needs points.
Right. I'm
Points
aware
are
of
bad.
this.
So it's 4-2 to Mork at the moment. belly flopping. And Mork, if you get this, you win the whole thing.
Belly flopping. I saw belly flopping as well, because they don't actually belly flop. So what it is you have to jump off a diving board, and then it's the person who as a belly flop, and it's the person who can hold that position the longest before curling up into a ball. So you don't actually have to belly flop the water, but it's like a test of your nerve. Where the fuck was it invented? Sweden. I don't know. I've gone with it. Sweden.
Okay.
I'm going to say Jamaica. Because Jamaica me crazy.
That is unfortunate, Sebek. Because it was Norway.
Oh, for God. Yes! He's read the same article. This is embarrassing.
He's done his research. Homework worked out.
Yes!
So yeah, Mork wins the mid game, and now let's see if you can. I don't even want to say the joke.
No, go on.
Stupid joke about drawing. Let's not do that again. I got yelled at the last time I did that. Okay. Let me get my thing up. 15-minute time, that is. Right, you are ready to go.
Now, I have a very special relationship with ridiculous sports, so when I hear Seb coming in here telling me that cool sports or dangerous sports are the most ridiculous in the world, I get very offended. I have been both a competitor and inventor of two separate ridiculous sports. I was a competitive planker back in my day, and I will post photographic evidence of this on the Instagram when this episode drops. My planking escapades around school were...
I can lie on things. Oh.
They were impressive and they were ridiculous, something to be mocked and laughed at, but very funny. And I also invented / co-invented probably the greatest ridiculous sport of all time, and if I could remember the rules, because it was so ridiculous, it would have been my pick. And that sport is hand tennis. And the co-inventor with me is a gentleman sat technically on my right of the screen that I'm looking at. Vinny.
That's me.
We invented hand tennis one summer using a trampoline and a garden and a clothesline and a football, and we would throw it into the trampoline while someone bounced and threw it back or something, and then if it hits the floor you get a point, and if you get a penalty, penalties only count if you're not on the trampoline or something, and you can't stop bouncing. If you stop bouncing, like a fucking badger eats you or something. I can't remember that. It was ridiculous.
You got penalties either way. It was just easier to say penalties if you were on the trampoline, because it was it was like not half the size, but like 2/3 of the size of like the
core
area.
Of the grass section.
The trampoline, whoever's on the trampoline, it was so much easier to score, so much easier to defend. It was like, it was really unfair.
When getting a victory over the trampoline side was impressive. It was all about damage control. Can you keep the score low enough before your turn on the trampoline to have a big enough advantage to win the game? But hand tennis was... So ridiculous sports are very close to my heart. And so this was a real, passionate love affair writing this script. Firstly, I looked at many ridiculous sports. The first one I looked at was ferret legging. As previously mentioned, was invented in the 1970s by coal miners in England. And what they would do is put a ferret down their trousers, and longest one to keep the ferret in there wins. Classic, great rules. The next sport I looked at was called shin kicking. And this is a sport. This is a sport where this comes from, again, the United Kingdom. This was invented in the 17th century, and it involves two people kicking each other in the shins until one falls to the ground. And it has been called the English martial art. So
that's embarrassing for our nation, I think.
That's not good, mate.
But do you know what? Shin kicking actually inspired a real-life, proper, fully-fledged professional sport that is being now held by the UFC, have the rights to a championship of this sport. It's exactly the same as shin kicking, except it's called power slapping. And it's the same thing. Two people stand across a table, and you take it in turns to slap each other across the face as hard as you can with the intention of knocking the other person unconscious. I nearly picked this because it's probably the only ridiculous sport to be made professional. These guys are professional fighters, if you can call just standing there taking a slap to the face fighting.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty hilarious.
Films.
It's quite good when you just see some like skinny little mank guy with a shaved head come up against some Russian 6'9" bear. You know who's going to win instantly.
Do they not have weight categories?
Doesn't look like it because these guys get fucking annihilated.
It's a professional sport, but it's not that big a professional sport.
Yeah.
I heard Dana White's been into it for a while. He's been practicing with his wife.
Yeah. I think they put that on. They put their events on hold because of that debacle.
Fucking knobhead.
Even I know of that.
But the next sport that I nearly picked was my dear favourite, and the reason why I wanted to do ridiculous sports is a sport called cheese rolling or cheese wheeling. And again, you guessed it, it was invented in the UK. Just to say, the UK is hands down the absolute definitive goat of inventing ridiculous sports. There's no question about it.
Like a third of all the sports on the article that I got all the things for the dumb game were from England, so I couldn't use them. I was like, I can only use one because I don't want to have more than one English. And I even I had one Welsh one as well. So like,
yeah, there's so many stupid things come from England. It's because it's just so steeped in tradition, going back like hundreds or thousands of years. A bit like cheese rolling. Cheese rolling is a sport and a tradition which involves contestants running down an incredibly steep hill in Gloucestershire to catch a wheel of cheese. No one has ever caught the wheel of cheese. Because it's been clocked at over 70 miles an hour going down this hill. It is a tradition that goes back centuries, maybe even to Roman times. Broken bones and injuries are an absolute guarantee. Footage of cheese rolling is something that mine and Kieran's Facebook chat would be proud of. But there have never been any fatalities in cheese rolling, hence why it still exists now. However, after all of this deliberation through all of these sports, including hand tennis and planking, I settled on one particular sport, which is just downright the most ridiculous, the most stupid, unreasonable to be mocked at or laughed at sport in the world. And that is extreme ironing. Now,
about the big guns.
According to the Extreme Ironing Bureau, extreme ironing is the latest danger sport that combines the thrills of an extreme outdoor activity with the satisfaction of a well-pressed shirt. So what is extreme ironing?
Did you read that off their site, or did you write that yourself?
I got that off their site. That is the definition of extreme ironing, according to the Extreme Ironing Bureau.
Well,
what is it?
Cringe.
What is it?
It's really cringe.
It's
so
really
cringe.
simple. It's so simple. It's an extreme sport where the goal is to iron clothes in the most extreme locations possible. On top of mountains, underwater, while surfing, also while base jumping from airplanes, or bungee jumping. So it's taking base jumping and making it even more ridiculous by doing it ironing clothes.
That's so edgy.
It was invented by a guy named Phil Shaw in 1997. And I'll give you one fucking guess as to where he's from.
1970s Yorkshire, England.
That's right, he's from England, boy. We are some crazy bastards. He came home from a hard day's work at the textile factory one day, looked at his stack of iron and thought, fuck that, I'd rather go rock climbing. Bingo, got a great idea. I'll take my ironing board and iron clothes with me rock climbing. And just like that, extreme ironing was born.
Why did he think to do that? That's a terrible idea. What was the point?
Because it's ridiculous, Vinny. You're laughing at it, you're mocking it. It's ridiculous.
I am mocking it. You're right.
It is ridiculous.
Shit.
He took the idea around the world, and he managed to convince some crazy guys from another crazy country like Germany that they should all band together and create Extreme Ironing International, the Extreme Ironing official body of the sport.
Worldwide.
That's probably the craziest thing Germany's ever done.
I think so.
I can't think of a crazier thing that Germany's done.
No. I think extreme ironing's the most ridiculous, crazy thing they've ever done.
Especially not two crazy things that they've done.
Yeah.
Quite quickly.
Now, extreme ironing is branched off, and there are actually some subcategories of extreme ironing, such as bungee ironing, where people genuinely bungee jump and iron clothes at the same time. Yes, it's real.
No, they don't.
Yes, there are
jump with
videos
an
of
iron,
it.
They hold it. They don't actually iron anything. It's
They
just
do
a
iron
prop.
it.
It's a prop.
They bungee and they iron at the bottom and they bungee back up.
Yeah, it's a prop. No one's actually doing any ironing.
They're scored on the quality of crease at the bottom, Seb. So explain to me how that's not ironing, please. You can't. So shut up. Right. Let me get back to it.
Fair play. I
Now-
wasn't expecting that.
In 2002, the very first Extreme Ironing Championships were held, where teams from 6 different countries and 3 teams from Great Britain competed for the title. There were many events. There were 5 events. There was urban, which included ironing in and around or on top of or whatever in a broken car. Water ironing, which was a fast-flowing river, was built, and competitors could use surfboards, canoes, or rubber rings to help them. So they could either surf while ironing, go down a canoe, rubber ring, whatever you want. Just be as fucking crazy and ridiculous as possible. Forest, which was climbing up a huge tree and ironing on top of that. Lauder, or Lauder, I'm not really sure on the pronunciation there, but English isn't my forte. Which was a purpose-built climbing wall where ironists had to climb up the top and then iron a t-shirt. And then freestyle. And freestyle was anything goes. You could fucking bungee jump, skydive, triple backflip, iron upside down, whatever. May I just say,
Your in-laws.
extreme ironing would definitely be Steve-O's favourite sport. I'm just going to say it.
Rest in peace.
He's not dead. You can't just say that. What is Steve-O's favourite sport? I can just Google that. What is Steve-O?
Definitely would have been if he was still here.
He is still here. But
Yeah,
I didn't
know.
say he was
What do you
dead.
mean? Yeah, but the way you phrased it made it sound like he was dead.
Oh no, he's not dead. I'm listening
It
to a
would be.
self-help book. It's pretty good.
You getting a lot of help?
Not really, but that's the point.
I see you not with the you downing that.
Yeah. Well, he says that it's not really the point to get help from it, but he does say stuff like one chapter's titled "Don't be a selfish dick." Makes sense.
He quite likes American football.
Oh right. Equally as
So-
ridiculous
Good
because
to
nothing
know.
to do with feet.
So
Anyway.
it's not Steve-O. So can we just wipe that off the record? It
Sure.
wouldn't be Steve-O's favourite sport because it
Fine. Minus 1 point for me. Fine. Anyway.
5.
Competitors were tested on their abilities to cope with 5 arduous ironing tasks on a variety of different fabrics and in different environments. A 70-strong contingent gathered in a muddy field to combine the often mundane household task with extreme pursuits such as rock climbing. Now, the British team prepared for the championship in different locations such as Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike and Snowdon with hopes of winning the illustrious prizes, a holiday in Hawaii and a washing machine.
Hell yeah.
Great Britain won gold and bronze at this event.
Nice.
No surprise. Now, other notable achievements in the extreme ironing world, because unlike cheese wheeling or ferret legging, extreme ironing is a sport where it's tangible the achievements of other competitors. Ferret legging is ridiculous, but, you know, there's not like a ferret legging book of records. No one's holding anyone up and saying, you're the greatest ferret legger of all time.
But how do you score? Because extreme ironing's so vague. Like, how do you pit those? So, like, say I go and extreme iron, I jump out of a plane and do some ironing. You go to the top of a mountain and do some ironing. How do you pit those two? How is that a sport?
I would categorize it in different ways, like, can you be the highest person to iron the best clothes, or travel the fastest and do the best clothes? So if you were skydiving, someone would have to skydive higher or faster than you while getting much more perfect creases in their clothing.
But surely,
Yeah.
like, you could say that with a ferret, you could just see how long you could keep a ferret down your trousers.
But that's so niche, like cheese rolling. it's not about the skill of the competitors. You can't be like, I'm going to be the greatest cheese roller of all time. You're never going to catch that cheese. It's just ridiculous for the sake of ridiculousness. But extreme ironing has got tangible skills that you can apply to the sport, such as you can be an accomplished cave diver, scuba diver, free water diver, mountaineer, rock climber, base jumper, skydiver, fucking land speed record holder doing ironing in your thrust 250, whatever. You have tangible, proper, real-world sports skills that you can apply to extreme ironing. And as long as you whip out an ironing board and iron and a t-shirt, you're happy days and good to go. Which just sets it apart from other ridiculous sports. Not like base jumping, obviously it's not a ridiculous sport, but other ridiculous sports such as ferret legging and cheese rolling. So some of the greatest achievements in the extreme ironing world include, in 2003, 3 dudes from the UK ironed a Union Jack at the summit of Mount Everest, 17,000 feet above sea level. The highest anybody has ever ironed clothing.
That's definitely not the highest they've ever ironed clothing, if you know what I'm saying.
No.
Buffalo Soldier! Editor's gonna have a field day with this.
What's that video where he's like, I smoke the green herb?
It comes from the earth. It is a healthy herb.
He just kicks that fan.
Sam hides.
In 2008, a team of 72 divers ironed underwater for the world record of simultaneous underwater ironing. The record was broken a year later when 86 divers did the same.
Yes, Sebek?
How do they iron underwater? Because if the shirt's wet, they're not ironing.
I have that question as well.
That's a prop at that point.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know the definition of ironing. I'm just telling you the definition of extreme ironing. They did it. They have the world record for doing it. So you go and contact whoever about.
I just think this is the most needy thing I've ever heard.
What's
it's
ridiculous?
It's a cry
what is it? Is
for
it
help.
just? Is it just?
Someone's
is it just,
turned a cry for help into a sport.
Is it? I'm sorry. Is it just plain ridiculous, Seb?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Boring.
It's just ridiculous.
It's
I think
boring.
it's just
needy.
Okay,
it's
Sebek.
ridiculous.
I'm going to have to ask you to calm down and let Mork finish his presentation. Thank you.
It's needy.
That's your first warning.
Oh, Seb's got a yellow
You
card.
out of here. Yes, giving you a yellow card there, mate.
In 2011, Jason Blair was filmed ironing on the M1 motorway while it was closed because of a fire. Extreme ironing.
It's just a bit distasteful, really.
In 2012, ironing pioneer Phil Shaw, otherwise known as Steam.
They didn't even call him an ironeer. Carry on.
In 2012, ironeer Phil Shaw, otherwise known as Steam, ran the Hastings Half Marathon with an ironing board on his back and ironing various garments of clothing along the way.
Done us proud.
In conclusion, extreme ironing is easily the most ridiculous sport of all time. It is easily the most stupid or unreasonable and deserving to be laughed at sport in the world. It combines some of the already hardest and most dangerous sports in the world, such as mountain climbing, rock climbing, deep sea diving, bungee jumping, base jumping. It combines all of these things and adds another silly, ridiculous element, something so mundane like ironing. But the ironing actually adds to the challenge. Ask any diver or mountain climber or base jumper if their sport would be harder if they had to carry an ironing board and clothes and iron them along the way and then be judged on the quality of ironing and creases at the end. And I'm sure they'd probably tell you to fuck off. That's ridiculous. But I absolutely love it, and it's the GOAT. Thank you.
Very nice.
Cringe.
I
died of cringe.
I have a question for you, Sebak, actually.
Yeah.
So obviously a sport needs to have competition or else it's just an activity at that point. So where does the competition come from base jumping? It sounds more like an achievement, like where you say you get the B, the A, the S, then you are a certified base jumper.
I think it's a sport in the sense that, I don't know, something like bungee jumping is a sport, or I mean, the thing is, if extreme ironing is a sport, then base jumping is by default a sport because there is no.
But I would argue there are competitions for.
Well, there are
ironing.
competitions in base jumping. They hold like annual competitions about like who can jump from the highest. It's a lot of it's to do with low opening, so like how far you can fall before you open your chute. There's like I think that's like the main competitive element, which
That's
again
so fucking bad.
that makes it even more ridiculous.
It's so bad.
Like that is like the
Shouldn't do
main.
that.
No, well that's the thing. That's why it's so stupid. That's why so many people die. Is a lot of the kind of competitive element is about making this already dangerous thing even more ridiculously dangerous by like pulling your chute late. High, like low opening is pretty much I think the competitive factor. I watched some videos and like people are just wanking off about how low they pulled their chutes, and like in some of the videos like people are like within talking distance before they pull their chutes. Like they do what's known as a flare, where you have to like pull up as you pull your chute and like kind of skim the ground to take out the momentum, and you kind of land quite hard. Some of the really like low opening guys do that, and like the lowest base jump in the world is 29 meters. It was done by Felix Baumgartner, the guy who jumped from space.
Yeah.
He also jumped off of Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro, which is 29 meters, and it was so low that he basically had to he just hit the ground. He hit the ground slightly slower than he would have done had he not been wearing half a parachute. But the chute didn't fully deploy, and he just had to literally the moment he jumps, he has to yank it and start coming into a swoop, and that's how they do it. But yeah, it's all about low opening. It is it's a competitive sport for sure.
Okay. And
I think also it's about getting claiming the new thing. So you want to be the first guy to jump off the Burj Khalifa. You want to be the first guy to jump off the new tallest things, and also people want to be the first guys to jump off these really dangerous things. I think the really cool guys are the ones who get jumps off stuff that is a very unique opportunity. So I saw a thing about some guys who jumped off the World Trade Center that was when it was being rebuilt, whatever they call it now, the Freedom Tower.
I'm going to say when it was being airplaned into. I was fuck me, they really got there in time.
No.
Shit, they just hit the West Tower. We got to get to the South Tower.
No, they didn't do that. They jumped off the Freedom Tower as it was being built, and it's built in such a way that you can't get to the top. So it was only able to do it while it was being built, and obviously no one will ever redo that. So that's considered to be super. That's all part of the competition, I guess.
Okay, so so it does check the box for being a sport, but does it check the box of being ridiculous? It's certainly stupid, base jumping. I would also say ironing in a volcano is also quite stupid. They're both stupid, but are they both ridiculous?
I think it's laughably stupid. That's why I think it's ridiculous. It's so dumb. It's so dangerous. It's completely unnecessary, and it's ridiculous, I think.
See, I don't know if I'd find it humorous. I just find it worrying.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's a slightly morbid sense of humour on my part, but I do find it a bit funny.
A bit funny. How cool they are. That's how funny it is.
I also kind of want to do it, and I don't know why. There's something slightly yearns within me.
It's it just sounds like the ultimate adrenaline junkie activity or sport. But
what's weird is I find it less scary of an idea than jumping out of a plane, and I don't know why. I think there's something about the ground makes it seem less scary, whereas jumping out of a plane, I feel like what would fuck me up with a plane is the journey up. If you could teleport me into a plane that was already up and say jump out, I would do it. But there's no way I'm getting through that 25-minute climb without having an absolute mental breakdown.
Oh, at Dunk as well, it's it gets up the fastest. It's 8 minutes or something. It's rapid.
8 minutes is too long. I'd be clawing the guy's eyes out who's on the back of me. I would be freaking out.
Is that because of the build up is scarier than the actual thing?
I would imagine so. For me, the anxiety of waiting would kill me. It's also how I was reading recently you can go and it might take you 3 days in a row to do your actual jump. You're just waiting for the weather, waiting for the plane. By that point, I'd be home.
It's not
If I'm
very
not-
scary. It's really not scary. It's nice and tranquil. Like when you're
I'll be
falling,
down to do it.
it's like, and you're like, oh my fucking god! Ah! But then, like, it's so weird because the second the chute gets pulled, it goes from that like chaos and exhilarating to absolute silence. Like I've never heard silence like that in my entire life, and stillness, and it's like it happens within a millisecond. That chaos to the tranquility, and it's like, wow, that is incredibly, I don't know, relaxing. It's so nice. The journey back down is awesome as well.
I would like to do it.
It's
I would
really
like to do it
sick.
in my lifetime. It does sound very fun. I will say it's quite funny how, like, for example, if I'm on a plane, because I'm deathly afraid of heights. I'm really bad with
Yeah, you
heights.
are.
And if I'm on a plane and it's like going up and I look out the window, then I'm like, my palms get so sweaty because I'm just like, oh my god, like if I suddenly magically fell through the floor right now, I would just be dead. But then there's a certain point, maybe it's above the clouds, maybe it's just about, just below the clouds, when everything gets so tiny that I stop being scared because I've got no reference for how
That's it.
high I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
You
if I'm
feel
on
like you're
top
in
of
a
like a
box
building,
now.
I'm going to be shitting myself. But
Yeah.
if I'm on, like how high an airplane goes, a commercial airplane, like I'm fine. Like I'm like, yeah, it's really fun to look out the window.
Yeah.
See, I think
Interesting how that
I would
happens.
feel that maybe right until I got to the door, and then I would be so aware of how fucking high it was. I'd be
I
like,
mean, maybe
"That's-
when I get to the door, then I'll be like, can we go back down, please?
Nah, because
I'm sure they just push me out at that point.
yeah, they just push you out anyway, and you don't really
Just
think
be like,
about it.
"Fuck
You
it."
just if you just relax and just let them get on with it. Like you're fine. Like you don't have with tandem skydives, you don't really actually even have a choice. You can be as scared as you want. They just someone else is jumping for you. Effectively, you're strapped to somebody's front like a fucking baby carrier. They're jumping out of the plane. You're just along for the ride and just let yourself go. It's fine.
I think I could probably do it if I closed my eyes from the moment I got on the plane.
Just don't look out the window. Like they're talking to you and they're like distracted. They're like, oh yeah, so we got to do this, we got to do that. We run through the little drill again, like pat you on the shoulders. By that time, you're already up and their doors open, just going, and you're like, let's fucking go, boy, woo! But I think I am a bit of an adrenaline junkie, hence my planking days, which is why I sort of really enjoyed it.
Fuck up. Okay, just so that you're disqualified in case something wins. No, you said that.
Do you know what I can't even get on a roller coaster. The anxiety again, but it's the line. If I could go into like a closed off place and just go like straight onto all the rides, I would do it. But waiting for an hour to get on a ride, I know I will bitch out. I know I will. It's
What
too
about-
long. I can't do it.
What about when we go to Butlins in a couple of weeks, mate?
I'm not going on a roller coaster.
There aren't any roller coasters. You're gonna go on the like little flyer thing, like you sit on the seat and it flies you around.
Absolutely fucking not.
Are you joking? Leo goes on it. He's 3.
Yeah, he's a kid. I don't care.
No, water park.
Yeah, I'll go down. Water slides they're not the same for me. That's
Yeah.
gravity. It doesn't count. But like the height of.
It's a pretty dark one though.
I don't care about the dark. I just
It's-
don't like
it's-
heights.
No, but it like
Pretty
sinks
scary.
you in this sinkhole. It's like one of
Also,
them, like what
do
you
you know what
spin
you-
about and then you just go like get sucked in the hole.
You, Jen, Leo, and Lucy are having a holiday at Butlins, and I'm literally in my head. I'm just going on a fishing holiday. I'm taking my fishing stuff. Love going fishing. I will actually fish every night. Every night.
Vacant.
And I'll
You
get
should
up
go
every morning
early in
to
the
fish.
morning. Yeah.
Yeah, fish every morning. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Vinny.
Anyway, that leaves me with a choice. Do I pick BASE jumping, as I'm going to start calling it now just to be annoying? Or am I going to pick extreme ironing? See, with extreme ironing, it knows where it is. It's definitely a sport. They hold competitions, and it's definitely ridiculous. Like, the idea of it's funny. I remember just seeing extreme ironing once and being like, "Ha, that's ridiculous." I didn't read into it, like I didn't, but like it is interesting, like all the things they do and the fact that it like combines a lot of different adrenaline-seeking activities. That's actually like more interesting than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be literally like a couple blokes in fucking Norway decided to iron their shirt on a like mountain or volcano and
No.
and now it's a thing.
That's why it's
you
so
know.
ridiculous. It takes these already fully fledged extreme sports and just makes them silly, makes them ridiculous by ironing.
I think it's just
On
cringe.
the other hand, BASE jumping or base jumping for you kids.
You fellow kids.
I'm not entirely convinced it's ridiculous. I'd say it's more dumb and stupid, and you shouldn't really do that. But I guess if
But
you've got
what's a
nothing else to live
synonym for
go
those
it.
words? Dumb,
definitely
stupid,
dangerous.
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous and stupid are similar, but ridiculous is to be laughed at. I don't think base jumping's. I don't find
Absurd.
it funny. It's not absurd exactly. It's just dumb.
I think it is. I think it's absurdly dangerous.
Well, you can have your opinions. That's okay, but mine's the one that matters.
I can't have my opinions, not anymore. Fucking, just all fucking snowflakes these days. Can't say anything, I tell you.
Well, that leaves me to crown Mork as today's victor. Base jumping is the GOAT ridiculous sport. Thank you very much
What?
for
You
playing.
said base jumping.
Did I say base jumping? I meant the other one.
To do that again.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh shit! I got the wrong one. And on that bombshell, let's just end it there.
Are you not redoing it?
I think it's funnier if I don't.
Yeah, I agree.
No, but it is extreme ironing though, isn't it?
Well, not
anyway,
officially. Not officially.
Thanks very much for listening.
No.
And or watching.
Thanks for the win. I really appreciate it.
I should have brought props. I should have brought a fucking ironing board and an iron. How
Yeah,
cool would that have
props,
been?
Which is all fucking base jumping here. No, fuck, now I've done it. Oh,
Yeah, got him.
I'm going home. I need to eat some lasagna.
Right. So we'll see you next time for have we got the next one? We should have the next one. Let's have a look quick.
Pretty sure it's brand deal.
Brand deal. We're doing Go Animated Show next time. I've already put down
that's-
my answer for it.
That's me versus the V Dizzle. Was going to do Rick and Morty, and now it turns out the creator's a wife beater. So
I did hear that.
Whoops.
Yeah. Maybe you should do Koala Man. That's a fucking good one I've been getting on recently this week. Koala Man is banging. But I'm hosting that one because it's time for me to take a break from all the dubs after 2 in a row. And to get
didn't
back
win this
to
one.
crowning some. Yes, I did.
You accidentally didn't, remember?
No, I didn't.
It didn't say.
I accidentally didn't.
yeah, you snatched defeat.
Whoops! I just slipped on a banana skin.
The blue shell. You were in first place, got a blue shell, now you're last.
Yeah, so it happens, mate.
Oh no.
Right. Yeah, so see you next time for Go Animated Show.
Happy
Nice.
days.
And if you haven't already, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our Instagram, and watch our videos on YouTube, please.
Please.
See you in a bit. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Let's not make that a thing.
That's already a thing. I've been doing that for ages.
Let's just not make that a thing.
I've done that every
No,
episode
no.
for like the last 2 fucking months. I always do that.